Um, why is the box so small? I don't understand. I don't understand why they do this. New on StreamYard that the box is small. That's the solo layout. So I don't understand this. Looks weird. Why is the box small? I don't get it. It's been like this since this last update. So if anybody know why, if anybody know why the box is small, let me know. All right, so okay. Finally back home. Gotta watch a lot of interviews. We got a new interview with Ramses on Nick Vial, and I was gonna go live. I was gonna watch it, and then I was gonna go live, but I ended up listening to Nick Vial and his cast give their opinion on the reunion show. And I'm listening to it so long, I'm like, why don't I just listen to Ramses while I'm live so I can give a live reaction for what took place? But before I give the live reaction, I did have updated thoughts, updated, probably controversial thoughts on other castmates, such as it's going to be a very unpopular opinion, probably, but the Tim and Alex situation. I was driving back home. I had a lot of time to think about just that whole dynamic. And I think, like, when I'm watching the show, it wasn't that interesting to me. I was interested in other couples. However, I think Alex and Tim became more interesting to me after the reunion because they are so human, meaning they both have flaws. Typically, in situations like this, you can easily go, that person's a jerk and that person innocent, or that person a jerk, that person innocent. But this, you clearly see the flaws of what took place. And it made me look at Tim in a different light. So, and also using my own anecdotal experience. So I want to go back through the process of why Tim would come down to the conclusion of looking at her, because it looked left field to us. It's like, bro, if you don't want to be with her, don't be with her. Why at the end and like, I never want to see you again? And this is just a plausible scenario. Doesn't mean what I'm saying is true. Doesn't mean what I even think I'm saying is true. I'm just saying, like, this could be a plausible scenario of where this extreme bitterness came from with her, instead of leaving us feeling like you're just mad that she fell asleep. So walk with me, y'all. Walk with me. I watched somebody on a panel, a woman on a panel. It was on Lil Black Sports channel, and she said, "I hate." She didn't say I hate, but she don't like when men ask for something and then they can't handle it when they get it. And I was like, "What's she talking about?" And she was saying that Tim was asking for an opinionated woman, or like a strong woman or whatever. And I felt like that was interesting, that that's what she honed on. Because if he said that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if Tim said that, I'm guarantee you he said it in one conversation. So I'm like, why would you hone in on those words? Because I know what Tim said in more than one situation. Tim deadpan stopped and made it crystal clear he not dealing with a woman that argues. He said that multiple times. He said that in person. He said that inside of the pods. When someone shows you this, I instantly felt this dude done been in some drama. He's been with women that probably got all up in his face, yelling, doing all of that stuff. And some people not going to take that stuff. When you say something more than one time, you're telling me, you're showing me what's important to you. And if you say something, and I like what Nick Vial said, Tim is a man that shows me that on this interview we're about to watch. Right before the interview, if y'all go back to watch the Nick Vial's recap of the show, he said that Tim shows me he's a man that if he says he's going to do something, he's going to do it, which I thought was interesting because I knew I was about to give this take on Tim. So Tim says he's going to do something. He's going to do it. He's going to show up for her family. He's going to go all out. He did it. But I figured out where Tim anger could have came from because there's one thing he didn't stand on. Like when I, again, my anecdotal evidence of what happened in situations in my life, like I've said those exact same words Tim said. I'm not dealing with this. I'm out. I'm walking out the door. I'm not, because we don't have to talk to each other like this. You could be respectful. If you're not gonna do that, in how I am in my life, I'm leaving. I'm not about to subject myself to a relationship. So pause that right there, because I want to go back to what she said with Tim said that he wants an opinion and they want a strong woman, whatever. When this woman said this on the panel, other women agreed, and it's always this bonnet, this way of thinking when it's coming to men and it's coming to women. Women want us to believe them when they say something. Then you got to believe men when we say something. You can't go on Instagram. You can't go on TikTok. You can't listen to anybody, a relationship expert, or people who just got challenged where they talk about relationship all the time. And it comes up 100% of the time. Men do not want to deal with the arguing woman. So I feel like it's misread if women feel that Tim said he wanted a woman like this. No. If I want a strong woman, I want a woman who has her own opinion. I'll get bored if you don't have your own opinion. I love listening to your opinion. Like, I think that's what men most mean. And even in playful banner, that can hold your own. And Tim tested her. He did things I wouldn't have done. Like when he kept mentioning the dog situation or whatever. Think he wanted her to bite back. That's the kind of woman he's talking about, but he's not talking about an argument. He's talking about a woman who has her own opinion where they're talking and discussing things. Men do not want women that argue. We just don't. I don't understand why this concept is very hard for some women to believe when we're shouting it from the rooftop. One of the most used words that you hear from men are, I just want peace. Peace, 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 peace. That'd be the number one thing that men talk about. And men will literally tell you that the number one thing that they want is peace. So if he said this multiple times, and the very first time they get into any kind of dispute, it's because she called him a little bitch. She did the one thing that he asked and he said that he wasn't going to do over and over and over again. Now, I want to talk about facts from opinion. It is an opinion that Tim yelled. You're like, well, he yelling and stuff. She trying to save him, the producers. How do you know that? How do you know that he did that? I have to look at somebody's personality if the show is not going to give us any evidence, and I have to look at what am I consistently seeing from someone. I see that it's a fact that she called him a little bitch because he said she did it and she admitted that she did it. He never admitted to yelling. He never admitted to yelling. So I have to look at his personality. Of all the multiple times this man had to yell on the show, he never did it. He never did it. Some guys are going to be yellers and some guys are not going to be yellers. Tim never struck me as a person that yelled. Even in his extreme frustration on the reunion show, he still didn't yell. He told us he's a runner. He broke it off with her. Even when he said the most coldest thing he could say, I never want to see you again. He got that tight mouth that I barely like. When some of your bad traits can come across as being sort of like pompous or arrogant, typically pompous, asshole, arrogant kind of people that give off that vibe, they don't yell because they don't feel like they need to yell. It don't mean that they're not rude. It don't mean that they're not an asshole. So if I see an entire show, I see disputes that somebody have, I see very challenging conversations, and the person never yelled, I can't come out here and go, this one night when a woman is running the bathroom being quiet, he just runs in the bathroom and yells at her. The guy who avoids conflict, who wants to walk away, the runner, just gonna go in the bathroom and yell. Could it happen? Yes, because I wasn't there. It just doesn't make plausible sense given what I saw on the show. People will take what I just said and make it look like I think that Tim is innocent. I'm not even saying that he won't yell for good reasons. I'm saying he won't yell probably for asshole reasons. If you're a pompous, arrogant jerk that think you know it all, typically those guys, then they won't yell. And you never saw yelling from Tim on the entire show. Other people that you may think yell, Matt and from season 3, he yelled multiple times when he got upset. You see this on the show. You see this from people when they become upset, especially when alcohol is involved and they become upset. So I never got that Tim yell. And I also think it's crazy to try to paint it that if you're with your girl, with your friends on a secluded vacation, and the entire day is perfect, and everybody's sitting around laughing and talking, and she runs away to the bathroom upset, crying, and just tells you nothing, you didn't do anything, just how can that not make somebody worry or somebody want to check up on you, especially when she sat down on the couch and said, I can't read your mind. I can't fix anything or do anything if you don't tell me what's wrong. But yet you did that. So one thing I feel like I was wrong on in hindsight, I now think that Tim was done at that first argument. I think that that first argument not only made Tim mad at Alex, but I think that first argument made Tim mad at himself. Like Nick Viall said, Tim said something, he's going to do it. Well, Tim said if a woman talked to him like that, he's out the door, and he did not leave. I think that ate at Tim. He didn't leave. I've been through this in the past. I've been through this in the past so much with women that I'm not doing this no more. I refuse to do this. On the very first argument, I was called a little bitch. She doubled down on that at the reunion, said because she was acting like one, which shows again that she's not ready as she thinks she is for a relationship, because this is something men are not going to take. We try to, and I'm guilty of this too. We try to put things to what bothers us, and so a lot of women kept bringing up, was the hand close? Did she touch him? Was it in his face? Instead of listening to what the person's saying. On the reunion, Tim said the most egregious act was you calling me out my name. Why are we debating the hand? The guy in the relationship told you what was the most egregious act, and she doubled down on the most egregious act. So how could she have grown? How could she have said she's sorry and she apologized for it when on the reunion she said, because you was acting like a little bitch, so I call you a little bitch. But we just gloss over that. Guys are not trying to get into a relationship with women like that. And again, I can see if it came extremely frustrated or down the lines in your relationship. However, this was the very first argument. The very first argument pushed this guy to the limit of something he said he'd leave for. I think that everything else was minuscule and piled upon that, and he wanted out. And when I look at it from those love lenses, I can see the anger in that final conversation. When he said, I never want to see you again. I don't think he was saying that about her falling asleep. I think that's it. That's the words that Tim wanted to say that morning after that first argument. I think he's mad at himself that he didn't follow through on what he was supposed to do, which is why I said in the earlier video, he had a lot to do in common with Ramses, to where they're not feeling a certain way and they're not saying how they feel. So just looking at it through that, the consistent anger can make sense. But I don't want this to be taken out of context. Like I think like this man didn't do nothing wrong or anything. Like he did not divulge his feelings to Alex. He didn't do that. He is stern to a fault. That when I'm telling y'all what men not gonna put up with, women not gonna put up with that. You know what I'm saying? Like women are not looking for that as a partner. He comes across like a drill sergeant, and people just aren't that perfect, fam. Like people we are all flawed. And so he's gonna have a very hard time if he doesn't change that about himself, which I have said in multiple videos. Like women ain't trying to hear that shit, fam. Just like men not trying to hear that shit. So um yeah, that's the one thing that I wanted to just address. I think that final argument and the anger in Tim is everything that Tim wanted to say directly following the first argument, and I think Tim is mad at himself that he didn't follow through, and that's what we got on the show. All right, so Marissa has been getting a lot of hate. I think rightfully so online. And man, I don't really agree with Nick by all that much because it seems like he catered to the women. But man, what I just watched Nick say was he was spot on because he was saying like Marissa is showing the kind of character that she would turn on anybody, you know, to get Hannah out the mud. She turned on Nick and goes off on Nick. Then she does an article and turns back on Hannah to make sure the world knows that she's not that close with Hannah. And I was like, man, he kind of got a point. My thing I was looking at the situation is I hate when someone does a checklist, but the sincerity isn't there. So an example would be Marissa is not lying. Marissa is telling the truth when she says, I don't like what Hannah did, and I told Hannah what she didn't do. So I'm gonna tell Nick when I think he's lying, when he's wrong. I'm doing both. On paper, you did both. I can't stand when people do that shit. But the venom, the anger, we didn't see that. I saw the interviews when she said that she didn't like what Hannah did. I saw when she said it on Nick Vial. It didn't have the same passion as what you said with Nick. And I didn't understand that. And I didn't understand why would you want to push, right, to the entire world that Nick wasn't there for the right reason if he said that. I don't go what people say. I go by people's actions. Hannah's actions, Hannah's consistent TikTok videos. She did the actions of someone that wants to be famous. So if you tell me the problem is someone not coming on the show for the right reason, but one person shows the actual actions, one person moves to LA, one person has an agent working for her in LA. This is showing someone that wanted to be famous. And I think it's sloppy for Marissa to do this because I think you can do both. While I think Hannah wanted to be famous, I think that if Hannah found a perfect match for her, she would have married them, which is what the show is about. While Nick wanted to be famous, if Nick found somebody great, I think that Nick would have gone through and married them. Nick's actions showed that he was in this for real. So who cares? And that's what Nick was trying to explain. Like, he didn't know Hannah. He never met Hannah before. He never met anybody on the cast before when that was written. I reserve the right that if I go on a reality show, like, yo, I know my personality, boy, they're gonna love me, boy, everybody. I can do that, and I can arrive on set and get focused on the actual goal of finding love. Get my notepad out, make sure I'm asking the right questions, make sure I'm listening to everybody, make sure I try to find my mate. Two things can exist at the same time. And how do we know if you're genuine? We look at your actions, and Nick's actions on the show showed that he was genuine, even when I don't think that he should have been that into Hannah with the way that she treated him. Another thing is if Hannah found these notes by going through his own personal belongings, but she found these notes after the show aired, why no one brought up, it totally negates the treatment you gave Nick. Because you're trying to paint it like, yeah, I dogged him out and did this right here because I saw that he said this right here, and then now I'm gonna do it. Now I'm gonna do it. So if the premise of the show is don't focus on looks. Nick thinks you're underwhelming. Nick thinks you're a 5 out of 10. And those were the actions he did after thinking that you're a 5 out of 10. Those are the actions of someone who is not focusing on looks and still trying to go through with the process. So, so now, What's up, Moon Dust Angel? Marissa was mad saying one thing and doing another. She outed herself on accident on live TV, and Lord knows her mom didn't know a thing about it. Yeah. A lot of people hook up with their exes, and you know, like, I quickly realized that that's a bad thing. So when we're done, we're done. It prevents you from moving forward. And especially if you leave amicably. It may have been a sad breakup, but if you leave and nobody has hatred for each other, you got out of there. You keep sleeping around with that person, making stuff muddy. One person may be on a dating app and one person may not. And then you see them out, and now this person's a scumbag because y'all hooking up, having sex. You muddied the waters. That I don't do that. Like, once we're done, I'm cutting it off. I'm like, exes can't say that I backtrack, and because I so don't want drama. I so want peace. I had a girlfriend. She was sobbing. She was crying so bad that her car broke down. I mean, it was 10 times worse than how Marissa was crying when Ramses broke her up. I mean, it's some real life horrible thing. And she wanted me to drive out to help her. And it was so hard for me on the phone because I knew I couldn't get in my car. I knew I could not go help her. Because if I drive out there and I go help her, I'm already out there. She lived an hour away. I'm already out there. We literally just broke up. We in that muddy phase. We're gonna have sex. We're gonna hook up, and I'm gonna be right back into it. I have to pull this band-aid. I have to show her a life without me. I don't care if I look like a jerk, an asshole for leaving on the side of the road. I could not go out there, and to hear her break down and crying like that was really, really hard. But you come back a year later, and she thanked me for that decision, and she totally understood why I refused to do it. You got to pull that band-aid, or you guys are never going to move on with your life, which leads me to something, because the same person I'm talking about here, we cool. We cool. We cool. She did some jacked up stuff in the relationship, but we cool now. And this is what I want to talk about when is it Monica and Steven. I imagine the woman I'm talking about when Monica was going off on Steven on the reunion show. And I just thought that was foul. It was so foul because they made up so fast that she forgave him. I'll never date you. That was on the show while I aired. They had multiple conversations. They had a whole year where they had become really cool. Literally the same with me and my ex. It's been a whole year. So we cool. I was texting, send a joke, text back or whatever. Like, we cool. If I'm a man of my word and I'm really cool, I forgave you for what you did. We got no hard feelings. We getting along great. You got your life. Ain't nobody liking each other. And I can't see myself going on a reunion show with her and going off on her like that. I would feel like the fakest person ever. And I know that she me feel like, yo, what the heck? I thought we were straight. You every time I open my mouth, you burning me. We've been cool for a whole year since this happened. I apologize to you. I sincerely am crying everything. If I go off on you, then I wouldn't be cool with you. But you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't say y'all cool. You can't say y'all made up. You can't say you forgave the dude. And every time Steven opened his mouth, you try to burn him in front of a public audience. For what? What do you gain out of burning Steven if you sincerely forgave him? If you believe his apology and y'all cool and there's nothing wrong, what do you gain out of that? And this is why I agree with Nick when he was saying, like, people went on that reunion and were very selfish, thinking about themselves, thinking about this is that final time after watching myself on TV to get a better edit or a better exit off the show into on to better things. And I didn't like that. Also, before I do this, listen to this interview, when I look at the photo of all the men on season 7, there's some bad choices. There was a bad batch of guys. You know what I'm saying? Just leave it generic. This was a layup. This was so easy for the women. Like, the women had the easiest job out of any group of women on Love Is Blind to go into the reunion because the guys are bad. And the women left that reunion so upset. And I'm like, how? I think that when while Steven was so awful, because the worst thing you're gonna do on a reality show that majority women are gonna watch is cheat. The worst thing you can do is cheat, but how it helps on a reunion is if you've already done the worst thing, what more can you do to a person at reunion? It'd be different if they caught them after the show aired, like they did White Brett, the big built guy from I forget what season that was. I think it was season before this. No, it's a season or Seattle. I think it was Seattle season. Like he got caught afterwards, so there's a reckoning that needs to happen at the reunion. But Steven got caught on the show. The worst thing has already happened. So like there's really, really nothing there. I feel like what we did not like about Tim, we saw with our own eyes. So there's nothing new. So these guys got lucky that they got off because their worst thing was already aired. So the new information you're going to get is coming from the women. We didn't know that she called him a little bitch. So once you find out this new information, people like me, we're going to go online and talk about the new information. We already see the bad stuff that they do, except for Tyler. Tyler's the anomaly, like this guy. But most of the bad stuff we saw from the guys was so bad and already shown. It sort of give you this feeling of being tired. Like, I don't talk about Steven. He cheated us. Oh, let's get some new. We want some new tea. And so since the guy's tea was already out there, again, excluding Tyler, there was nothing else left to do with the guy. Generically speaking, I think that's probably why. And then the bullying tactics of women on the reunion. And also, one last thing, not admitting that you do the same thing. Oh, he told them that Hannah is a 5. Y'all didn't say nothing about the men. All these group texts and chats. Y'all just did a way better job than the men because they were so afraid of an even worse edit that the men kind of got scared and turned on each other. But I know if I was looking in them group chats, you mean to tell me in 12 months ain't one joke about Ramses' 2 braids in there? Ain't one meme in no conversation y'all women had? None. No braid. No chicken nugget joke. Get up out of here, man. Get up out of here. You know, y'all. Come on now. It's unrealistic. So that's what I think like was working against the women, which is sad. The men were so horrible in the season. The new stuff was coming on the women. But let's go into this interview. I have not watched this, so this is gonna be new for me too. Slide, no, want to slide? Yeah, share screen. There we go. Let's go.
His own personal pleasure in this situation. Trust me, I'm well aware of what hormonal contraception can do to a woman's body. I'm aware of all of these things. And so, me and Marissa are very candid when it comes to these sort of conversations. We're willing to say what it is, whether it was the comment about, sex with a condom being not as, enjoyable as without one, obviously. So
hey, yo, shout out to Marissa though, on the real. Shout out to Marissa. Hold on. Shout out to Marissa because when Ramses is being hated, Marissa has an advantage over him, and she could have taken advantage. Ramses said in the earlier interview that he wanted to clear up the contraceptive argument. I would assume that he talked to Marissa before the reunion, and when he got to that part, she talked for him. If Marissa would have been cold-blooded, she was like, yeah, I got you, babe. Yeah, I got you. I got you. We good. We good. Gave him that look Thor gave Guardians of the Galaxy about who the real captain of the ship. Of course. And Marissa could have been like, nope, that's a lie. He was worse. She could have destroyed this man. She knew he wanted to come to clear that up. She gave him the space to clear it up. She followed it up and took up for him in another interview. So that's what I'm saying. We watch these reality shows because we used to watch TV shows. And in TV shows, you have villains, you have the nice guy, you have the heel, you have the baby face, however you want to call it. In real life, people do ignorant things, people do not so nice things, people do very great things, people do charitable things, people have empathy, people lack empathy. Like we all are a mixed bag, and we just hope that the person try to be the best they can. So Marissa did stuff I didn't like, but she also did great good things too.
These very candid moments. But there were also moments where I was trying to explain that, I recognize that we live in a society where women, the pressure is primarily placed on women to deal with the question of contraception, and that men typically don't have that responsibility placed on them. You only heard the second half of that, but I promise the point I was trying to make at that moment is just acknowledgement of the fact that that is a reality that we're faced with. And so we talked about other methods of contraception. We talked about a vasectomy and what it would look like for me to get a vasectomy, and I would look into that. And ultimately, we talked about also, using the rhythm method, where Marissa would track her cycle, and we would, I would use a condom when I need to, and vice, whatever the case may be. And so this was a very nuanced conversation that we had that was really.
I believe you, Ramses. I got a problem with something else though.
Brought down into just kind of a couple minutes. And I was really just trying to be very considerate in that moment. I promise that's not the way it looks. But I was really trying to understand what would work best for us in a marriage. I promise I'm not anti-condom or whatever the conversation is on the internet.
Do you guys ever just discuss the old-fashioned pullout? I mean, I know I'm not necessarily recommending it as a one that always works, and there's clearly risks involved. But I think if we're being honest, many of us in committed relationships, especially ones where the woman in the relationship doesn't want to take birth control, there's a little bit of like, we'll do our best, and then we'll accept the consequences, whatever those consequences may be. Like, did you guys just practically just say, hey, well, let's do, if this works out and we get married, like, or were you just that anti-kid at that time?
So my thing with so when we decided, what our sort of solution was going to be, it was pretty much, mixture of pull-out game and her cycle, and sort of moving forward. She would, also agreed with me at the point that, using a condom every single time in a marriage was probably not the most feasible thing, or the thing that we both wanted in that situation. But even with the kids, that's a conversation we had in the pods about what our timeline would look like. And so even in that conversation, like the timeline had changed with her. And so that kind of caught me off guard. But I at no point, I recognize the risk that we're taking there. And if we were to have kids, that's a responsibility I would take upon myself. And, we would handle that situation. That's a risk that you're playing. And I would have been more than happy to take that responsibility if we had kids. So.
Yeah, you get so caught up on the right or wrong that you forget like reality until you stop looking at their lives and you look at your own life. I've never been in a long-term committed relationship with a woman and we just wore condoms every single time. Like, but I also never dated a woman who just flat out did not want to have kids and was not on like the IUD or whatever. Like, there was something long term in place with the woman to where I ain't got to pull out. But it's when if you're in love and y'all like you're not gonna wear a condom every single time in a committed monogamous relationship. Like the percentages of that, and maybe I'm wrong, is so low. Like y'all bumping pelvises without a condom, man. Like condom be for them single days. Typically in our society, you single, you wrap it up with a condom every time. But like in a long-term committed monogamous relationship, I'm gonna have sex 4 or 5 times a week and I'm just gonna keep on wear condom 100% every single time. That's maybe I'm fortunate. That has never happened to me. But also, too, got to look at Marissa. You cannot get pregnant. You know, you trying to pass the bar. You got to go out to start your career as a lawyer. You want to be the breadwinner, so you got to be the one that's working. You want the guy to stay home, take care of the kids. Like that would I can understand why Marissa was so gung ho on not getting pregnant. I can understand that. My issue I have with Ramses isn't the sexual conversation. It's physically going over to try to console and put his arms around Marissa after that conversation. That conversation seemed extremely long. And she's telling you, like, she's not in the mood for that physical touch and all that stuff. Like, you can check the vibes and you can see she's telling you everything that's wrong. And the fact that I know that that conversation was edited down, whatever we see, it was way longer. Could have been an hour longer, 30, but it was longer because they're editing it. So the fact that it was longer and you got received this information, it made, to me, in my subjective opinion, it made Ramses come across a little selfish. Like, are you hard-headed, bro? She literally just told you to back the fuck up. Like, that was the only thing. Like, that was my initial first review. The first thing that came to my mind, like, bro, please don't go try to hug the girl. Put your arm. She just told you. She literally, I don't understand you, Ramses. Unless it was cut out and we didn't see the part where she like, it's okay to give the embrace, but she told him and he still did it. And I think that physical action coming directly after the cut that Netflix did on his conversation to not show the full scope of it, it made it come across is a little worse.
Okay.
I appreciate all of this context, and we had Marissa on, and she did bring up the vasectomy conversation and how that was included, but cut out of the edit. I do think, unfortunately, the edit was against you because it was very much Marissa being like, some of the best sex I've ever had is with a condom, and you being like, well, I need to enjoy sex, and I don't enjoy sex with a condom. So I do think the edit was a little bit against you in that conversation.
You're not alone there, Ramses. I don't think anyone's a fan of it.
Well, clearly, Marissa.
I felt like I just said the quiet.
That's what I'm saying about calling your own self out. Like, I call me out right now. Like, I'm watching this show and I know I got a YouTube channel. I'm going to talk about it. I didn't jump up to defend Ramses, just like them guys didn't jump up to help each other on the reunion. I kind of did the same thing because I know in my head, I'm thinking the same thing he thinking. Like, bro, I ain't trying to be married and have sex with no condom. That's not enjoyable for me, fam. I'm thinking the same thing, but I'm like, I'm not finna come out here and say that. Women ain't going to kill me. But I thought we here to, be honest, and ain't nobody perfect, and say our opinions and learn from each other. I learned from people in my chat. I learned from other YouTubers. Like, that's the whole point of reviewing shows like this. We're talking about relationship dynamics. So I'm here to tell you right now, a guy, and I hate to steer, a guy is extremely happy about finding that person to officially be in a relationship with that person. And like y'all thought y'all bouquet off, we throw that damn condom. Yes, no more condoms. Like, I'm telling you, that's how I don't know if they're gonna tell you or not. That's one of the joys of it. So when you tell a man, we're gonna walk down the aisle, we're gonna go through the whole process, we're gonna get married, and then I gotta make sure I got a box of condoms stacked for 100% each time we have sex. Guys ain't rocking with that.
My part out loud, but it just the way it was perceived, it didn't look great on me. And I honestly, watching it back, my jaw was on the floor because I recognized what the conversation was, and I knew it immediately, like, what the perception was going to be in that moment. So it was a rough watching those conversations back for sure.
Okay, but you opinion because you could.
I accept the consequences if a woman gets pregnant. If I'm in a long-term relationship, we ain't wearing condoms. It'd be different if are you pregnant? I'm out. Nah, I'm like, man, you pregnant? All right, we finna have a baby then. And now that you pregnant, so I definitely ain't got to worry about this conversation for at least 9 months now. I'm taking the box of condoms. Kobe, trash.
Clearly had the same watching it back, just being like, oh my God,
no,
what the fuck?
for sure.
This is crazy.
Listen, if I was an outside viewer watching this conversation back, I'd be like, yeah, this guy's a douchebag, like, immediately. So trust me, I understand the perception.
Can you add the context that was missing during the period sex conversation?
Absolutely. So So this conversation was something that had been building up over the past days, weeks. I understand the perception of this is, Marissa she's dealing with all of these health issues, right? And I am simply there, only concerned about my pleasure, just trying to demand sex and just concerned about, when is the next time, or why are we not having enough sex, basically. The way I approached this conversation wasn't about sex. It was about our physical intimacy and the way it played out, not just, in the bedroom, but it just in our day to day. There were moments where we would go out on dates. And, I'm a very.
I just want to help him out that I heard this was aired. I heard him mention more sex. I heard him mention the physical touch and the intimacy. So I just think that us as the fans just didn't focus on it, and we ran straight to the sex portion. But he did mention this. This was shown.
Very affectionate person. I like to, like hug and, hold hands and all of that. And there was like a moment, for example, where I kind of put my hand on her leg just to kind of, as we were riding in the Uber to a date. And she was like, please stop. And obviously I can respect that. I know she has like ADHD and a lot of sensory stuff can be a lot for her, but there are also moments in, just cuddling where she kind of brushes my arm off. And so I'm starting to notice like all of these, we're not communicating in terms of like our physical affection and intimacy. And it also played out in the bedroom. Like I won't go too much into detail, but it pretty much, it felt very detached. It felt when we had sex that, once we finished, get up, go to the bathroom.
So this is how shit breaks down in relationships, right? Because all we're hearing is sex, physical touch. This isn't mainly about sex or physical touch. This is about communication. That's all this is. Communication. And when you look at it through those love lenses, then he had to have that conversation with her. You're supposed to do that. I gotta marry you in 2 weeks. You're moving away when I touch your leg, when I put my arm around you, and I'm not getting no answers. Like none of these couples this fucking season was talking to each other. This isn't a communication issue. So he had to have that. And when I look at it that way, he would have had to put the physical touch inside the conversation. He would have had to have put the sex inside the conversation to understand where she's coming from. So the worst conversation they had actually was a good thing. Think about it. Are you going to marry somebody if you like physical touch, you want to be intimate with them, and they're just pushing you away and they're acting distant, and they're not having a conversation with you of why? Nobody is going to fucking do that, bro. Nobody's going to do that unless you're just desperate for a relationship. So that's kind of interesting to see this interview because it actually helps Ramses out. The worst conversation they had needed to be had.
Clean off and, just kind of lay on the other side of the bed. And so I'm picking up on these things, and my concern was really our physical intimacy. It doesn't seem to be really connecting. Like it feels like there's some sort of detachment there that I was concerned about because of the way that I communicate my love. And so if there wasn't a compatibility there, then that's something that I felt that we needed to talk about and we needed to sort of figure out.
Let's reverse the roles, right? Typically, women want the physical touch. They want the embrace. And a man is pushing a woman's hand off. She's trying to lay up on his shoulder. He's moving away. The man is distant when they having sex and stuff. And he not saying nothing. You go to your homegirls, you'll tell your homegirls this, and they be like telling you all this shit. What's the fucking problem, bro? What's up with your mans? Like you need to have a conversation with your mans. She's gonna have a conversation with the guy, and she's gonna bring up all of these things for clarification. So if that's totally normal when a woman does it, it should be totally normal when a man does it.
Because it's something that I wanted to figure out before we got married. It's not something that I wanted to like leave until we get married. It becomes an issue potentially, and then you have to deal with the heartbreak of a divorce. And so that was the way I approached it. I recognize that Marissa in her past has dealt with men who have not given her the respect when it comes to a lot of these issues she's dealing with when it comes to her health. And so she's had these really wild expectations.
No, Ramses, we can't do this. Marissa told you that. You don't know it's true. When me and a girl break up, or I break up with a girl, right? Like I start dating a girl and she starts telling me all this stuff about all these bad guys she had or whatever. But now I've gone through the total experience. I've gone from when we go on a date, we like each other, we had an entire relationship. I go back and I look at what I went through compared to what she told me. Ramses, how do you know, in the same way that Marissa wasn't communicating with you on these issues, how do you know she didn't communicate these men? Their reaction to it could have been a wide range. One guy could have been like, "Yo, this chick acting crazy. I'm finna go cheat on her and fuck other chicks," which would be completely horrible and wrong. One guy, they could have been arguing all the time, but the real things they were arguing about aren't real. It's just hidden under the real issue of the lack of intimacy. Therefore, she has another bad breakup, another relationship. One guy is too afraid to tell her that he likes to cuddle, he wants the intimacy, he doesn't want to speak like you speak. So he just tells her, breaks up with her and says, "It's your energy." Another guy goes through the same problem. She's on a fourth guy now, and she told this fourth guy, "This guy broke up with me because of my energy." So he's afraid to say his emotions. So what does he do? He used the same excuse he heard before. "Oh, it's your energy." And now she's getting this complex about her energy. I'm just throwing out possible, plausible things because we always believe when we date somebody and they tell us about their past relationships that this person was completely horrible and wrong and we were not there. All you have is your experiences. So do you think, does Ramses think she just wasn't communicating with him? Why she wasn't why she was detached and she communicated with every male before her? Or is it more plausible if she did it with you? She is more plausible. Maybe she didn't learn from the mistakes she made in her past. She's still doing the same thing. So one thing in my years, once we date and we break up, I always go back and revisit. And I'll be like, you just this perfect person. You just got all these horrible guys. I don't think it went down like that.
Placed on her and how she should communicate and express herself. And so I can understand why she came into that conversation probably thinking like, "Oh, here we go again. Like, here's the same shit I've dealt with in the past. And this is the same type of guy that I'm dealing with now." But I think even after that conversation, we spoke more about it and we brought some clarity into what exactly it was that I was trying to focus on in that moment.
So it's interesting hearing that, Ramses, and I appreciate that context, but it almost sounds like Marissa got triggered by this conversation, maybe from her past, and then threw out, "Hey, but I'm on my period. Why can't you be empathetic to what I'm feeling?" Like, do you feel like it, like in that moment when she said that, did you kind of give up?
I would love it if you asked Ramses after this conversation that you wanted to have with her and you got clarification from her. If you feel the conversation ended good, why did you go over to try to embrace her if in that conversation she told you she wasn't feeling like that? That's the only thing that stuck out. That's the only thing you can't blame on editing. You can't blame it on the only way you can blame that on editing would be if they literally cut her saying, "It's okay. You can come and embrace me now. I feel better." If she didn't say that and she literally told you not to, then you would that hug is a form of doing what guys did to her in the past, if what she said about him is true.
Like oh fuck, how's this gonna be looked at in a way? Am I making sense? It's like a trump card conversation where it's like you're trying to connect with her and she's like, "What, I'm on my period," which obviously, as we're all watching, we're like, "Fuck this guy," like.
You gotta think positive, man. Positive mindsets keep a relationship happy, not focus on the little thing. A girl tell me on her period, you know what? I'm gonna be positive. I'm about drained. I ain't got nothing else to shoot out. I get to restock my load. I got 5 days to build it all back up. We gonna have us some fun in 5 days. Like I'm cool. I'm not I'm not. Men and women, we got to stop tripping over the small things. We really got to stop that.
I get it. Yeah, no, of course. Like I've always, and I know it again, like it probably doesn't come off that way, but when I approach conversations, I try to be very understanding and considerate of, especially, you know, when it comes to a partner, of where they are in that moment, where there's, you know, whatever issues they may be dealing with. I would never try to, you know, either force myself or try to put her into a position where she has to, you know, she's dealing with all of these issues, but she has to for some reason or another prioritize, you know, my sexual pleasure or prioritize how I'm feeling in the moment. And so I understand why, you know, she was pissed off, and, you know, she's dealing with all of these things. And so I understand why she in that moment maybe didn't want to have that conversation. You know, unfortunately, like in this experience, we don't have the luxury of time. And so there are times where we're going to have conversations that we maybe don't want to have in the moment, or we may be pushed into a situation where we have to speak on something because every day is different. Every day, you know, you're presented with new issues in this experience, and you just don't have a lot of time. And so I recognize that, you know, and I see it, you can see it on her face. I recognize that she's uncomfortable. And so it was a difficult conversation. I wanted to recognize where she was at, but also communicate what I was feeling in the moment. Because we were less than a week out at that point, I believe. Before the marriage.
The timeline makes a lot of sense in terms of when anything happens in these moments, like you're describing. I think in real life we have the benefit.
And there's something else you got to consider too. Hey, women, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. Because I just threw out, it's 5 days, right? Or is it a week? Whatever y'all answer is in the chat. Y'all women know more than me. That's a lot of time when you get married in 2 weeks. So if you don't want to have this conversation, we finna lose almost 50% the time we got before we get married, before we sign a legal documentation, a legal binding contract. We gotta talk, fam. We gotta have this conversation, because this is, you know, yeah. So look, you look 4 to 7 days, and you got 2 weeks. You're gonna have to woman up. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to have the conversation right now. We're gonna have what? Can we chill? I'm gonna give you a space. You know what I'm saying? I hope you feel better and everything right here. I don't want to, you know, cower and be all over you, but can we have it tonight? Can we have it tomorrow? There's going to have to be some push for Ramses to have this conversation, because when we're talking about being a communication in a relationship, you got to communicate. And if you're going to show like this, you are pressed for time. She owes him this. It sucks. I know y'all women know this. It sucks when something is wrong with your partner and they're not telling you what's wrong. It could drive you crazy. You start thinking about all the stuff you did, and then you have a situation like Tim and Alex. You have to talk. You got 2 fucking weeks. You got to talk. I speed through red lights, but like, you got to know how to speed through a red light. I'm not finna have a conversation and pressure you to have sex on your period. You know what I'm saying? But if I can put you in that mode, and we being silly, we laugh, we vibing so much that look is in both your eyes. Go get the toe. So it's a way you do stuff. You know what I'm saying? And not like, I gotta be in the mood to do that. I'm not gonna want to do that every single time you're on your period, but I'm not opposed to it. It's gotta be, that vibe gotta be right. And a lot of times is the mental aspects of what's happening with women when they're on that period. I don't want to have sex with my girl if she's not mentally all the way there. I feel like I'll be using her body. And you don't want to use nobody that you claim that you love and you care about. And if you're looking to get married, this is the closest person in the world to you besides your children. I care about her feelings. I want her to want it. So I try to do something to get you in that mode. But if not, I don't want to do it. The towel can stay in the closet.
Benefit of saying to ourselves, yeah, maybe now is not the time. You know, I'll table that for a second. You know, and then maybe a couple weeks later you bring something up. Hey, you know, this happened in the past. I don't want to talk about it when you're not feeling triggered. But yeah, you don't have that benefit of being like, well, I guess I just need to address it now. Here we go.
Do you think that conversation is kind of what like ultimately shifted you to end the engagement?
Not for me, no. I like, so for some reason or another, our depiction of our sort of our relationship is very focused on our physical connection. And it seems as if our sexual connection, our physical connection is something that's like hyper important for me. It's important, but it's not, it wasn't everything. And ultimately it wasn't it wasn't something that shifted sort of my.
I know you got beat up, Ramses, but you ain't got to lie. What are women always talking about? What's the number one thing women be bringing up on first and second dates? What's your love language? If your love language is physical touch and that's important to you, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. Bam, there's nothing wrong with that. If it's the number one thing for you, and then you can see somebody jake their leg away when you try to touch their leg, when you try to put your arm around, they push away, and it's something that's important to you, and you talking about marriage in 2 weeks, 2 weeks, man, you look at you crazy. You get married in a year, 2 weeks, man. Say that shit with your chest. There's nothing wrong with that, Ramses.
My decision in the end. I talked a lot about like our differences in our energies, and I know that word is like sometimes it's just vague. It's like what do you mean by energy? And so, but I think we saw some of it like at the reunion, but also just the way we perceive things, the way we react to things, the way we approach things. Is just my sort of temperament. I'm just very like level, very.
Here's something funny the public don't want to admit. Y'all, or should I say us, we got the same amount of time with Marissa as Ramses did. The show airs for 2 weeks. As a matter of fact, this show airs for 3 weeks. We got more time with seeing Marissa than Ramses did to choose if he wants to marry her. And we dogged this guy out about her energy, but on the third week, because remember the first set of episodes, first week, second set, the second week, and then you got the reunion, right? The third week. By the time us as the fans hit the third week, we saw her energy on the reunion show, and we did not like it. Now imagine if you living with her like Ramses. Another thing too, the 2 words that get used so much, it has lost its power and can lead you down the wrong path. 2 words. Word number 1, bipolar. Word number 2, ADHD. I dated a woman who's bipolar, and she told me up front she did her job. It was my mistake because so many people use the word bipolar, it lost its effect. It is completely different if someone tells someone like, yeah, you know I'm bipolar, girl, then you dating somebody who is diagnosed and really is bipolar. You think you can handle some shit, and then you get into it like, whoa, oh my God, this is mental. So she's gonna be like this forever. The same thing happened with ADHD. ADHD used way more than the word bipolar. Everybody going around saying that. You know I got ADHD. You got ADHD because you clean your coffee table 3 times a day. That ain't real ADHD. Real ADHD, when you diagnose, it's a lot. It's a lot. And I see not even a man, a woman, anybody. I can see somebody coming to a conclusion when they're inside of it and they're going through it. Like, what else would you call it if you don't want to make somebody feel bad about a mental condition? You're gonna call it energy. So he said the word energy a lot.
Just kind of, you're not going to see me like way too high or way too low. And so there was just a big difference in compatibility with us when it came to that. And it sort of sprouts out into other aspects of our relationship and our dynamic. And so in the end, I didn't feel like there was that compatibility there, because it's something that would have affected our day-to-day life if we decided to get married.
Marissa, throughout the reunion that you guys started hooking up again, in what context did that start up again? Were you guys, you know, now that you're out of the Love is Blind bubble, thinking, all right, like maybe we're not going to get married, but like, is there something there? Do we give it a shot? Or did you guys just agree to like, hey, you know, we might not be a match, but we love fucking. Like, and then you just became hookup buddies. Like, what was the context? And yeah, can you offer a little glimpse into that relationship?
Yeah. So yeah, no, there wasn't any sort of like relationship or anything. It was, so it's here's the thing. In this experience, you go 0 to 100 very quickly. And you fall in love very quickly. You have these really genuine, intense feelings for each other very quickly. And once something like this ends, those feelings don't go away. Those desires, all of those things do not go away. And in the months that followed after the breakup, I made myself available to Marissa in any capacity that she needed in terms of our like conversation, in terms of helping Marissa just find the closure that she needed. This was a very heartbreaking, obviously everyone's side, heartbreaking sort of situation. She had a lot of questions that I wanted to provide clarity for. And so, yeah, we talked a lot, and there were occasions where she happened to be in DC, and you know, things went where they went. She would reach out, and yeah, but I also recognized very quickly too that was not healthy. That was pretty toxic thing to do in light of, you know, just everything that's been going on.
Those situations are hard to pull away from. A lot of times, I'm going to stereotype, so brace yourself. A lot of times it's for different reasons between men and women. You do have the aspect in the center of it, like this intense love, but a lot of men don't be disciplined. A lot of men are not disciplined. It's, you know, I was in love with this person. We had great sex. Why the fuck not? Why not? We cool. We both grown adults. We single, and a man will fall into that very easily. For a woman, a lot of times it is mainly based upon that love you had. And for having a lot of women friends and being 44 years old, I see a lot of women that, oh, I'm not finna go out here and fuck nobody. I don't know what they got. So they'll keep fucking their ex. And I even going all the way back to like 9th grade and shit. Like, I never understood that, because you may think you're safe because you're only fucking your ex, but if your ex fucking other people, it's the same as you going out fucking other people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I never understood that. Like, I just sleep with my ex. I ain't got time. You don't know what people got out here. Your ex fucking other women. What are you talking about? It's the same. And because of your ex, y'all not wearing a condom. You're not wearing a condom, so you still putting yourself in the same danger as fucking somebody else. It could be even more dangerous, because if you went out and hooked up with 3 dudes or whatever, you vetted them, you know more information about them. If you just hooking up with your ex, you just leaving whoever dick he put out there. You don't know these women, you don't know nothing about these women, so that's even more dangerous. You know, like, I don't understand. I'm on StreamYards. My camera looks clear. I don't know if it's projecting over to YouTube clear. Nah, it look blurry on YouTube. So I'm having connection issues, I see. I wish I could change it, but I can't. I already started the live. I would change it back from 1080p. Oh, maybe I can. Hold on. Let's go back down to 720. Yeah. Oh, that's pretty cool. I can change it while I'm live. So hopefully that helps out a little bit. So I'm sorry, it's clear on my end, so there must be connection issues. I don't know why. The sun looks pretty clear, but all right, we're gonna keep rocking. Y'all can see Ramses. That's all that matters. Let me change me to little until it clears up.
The breakup, you know, she deserves to move on. I deserve to move on in a healthy manner, and you know, having sex after such an intense sort of experience was not the best decision.
Yeah, I'm not gonna act like that's easy, because I don't like act like I'm perfect or nothing. Man, it was so hard to tell my ex. My ex came to me, and we, you have bad breakup. So when you have a good breakup and y'all laughing, y'all vibing, and y'all cool, then when she hit me with that, look, why don't we just fuck each other? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, we both had great sex. And what would be the problem? Yo, it was hard to turn that down. It was so hard to turn that down. But what made me turn it down was the fact that I had bad breakups, and this is not a bad breakup. We did it the right way, and we're amicable, two good people. Why go back into that mud and fuck it up, and then I see you around town, and now you fucking rolling your eyes, you hate me or something like that could happen when we made it out successfully. And I tried to turn her down. It was hard. She's a beautiful woman, had great sex, but like you have to be disciplined. You got to look at the long. You got to look at the long road. It be hard. I'm a man. It'd be very hard, But like again, in that situation, I know I made the best decision, and we ain't got no problems now. Because one of her caveats, this is what I'm saying, y'all women think y'all slick. One of my ex's caveats was if I go into this deal and we hook up with each other, if we did that, then we can't sleep with nobody. I'm like, what the fuck? That's a relationship. That's a relationship. So if I'm chilling and dating somebody, if you see me around town and I'm on a date with a woman, you gonna blow my spot up? Nah, I'm good, fam. I'm good.
It's definitely toxic, and you're two adults who made an adult decision, so you both play a role. But I'm sure you also recognize, looking back, that maybe in that moment, especially as you kind of described, you were kind of the person who was a little bit more emotionally regulated and had moved on, where you were, like you said, we're trying to offer Marissa closure, and that even if Marissa wanted to have sex in that moment, maybe the nicest thing for you to do in that moment would have been to reject the sex, because that obviously can be very confusing and emotionally, kind of gets people in a rabbit hole. And maybe that wasn't the nicest thing for you to do in that moment.
Just be clear on your words, Nick. Don't throw it on Ramses. Throw it on both of them. Why I gotta be the man? No. Why I gotta be on Ramses? Marissa, you should be saying the same thing to Marissa too. It's on both of them to know that this is a tricky situation and it's probably not gonna work out for the best of you. It shouldn't be. It's okay for the woman to offer sex as an ex, and it's wrong if the man agrees. They both should not do it.
Hey, listen, I agree 100%. In the moment, you're caught up in the emotions of everything, and it's kind of like you make dumb decisions.
Yeah, I've been there. So like, I've made your mistake multiple times.
I recognize. I agree with you. I recognize that she was in this really vulnerable moment, but we're both vulnerable. But in terms of moving on, that wasn't the best decision to make. And it in a sense, it's sort of like kind of gives her false hope. And I trust me, I get it, I understand it, and it was the wrong decision in that moment for sure.
Have you spoken to Marissa since the reunion regarding her behavior? Because she definitely gave you a little window of redemption, because the reunion in her interview, that like morning DC show, when she completely walked back her friendship with Hannah, was not the Marissa I fell in love with on Love is Blind. And I was like, girl, what the fuck? What are you doing?
You saw some of that energy of why he left her.
Because when we had her on the show, she had the opportunity to let you off the hook, and she did not. Sure. I felt like she kind of put your feet to the fire. And her behavior at the reunion and in this interview that we saw.
And she said, I hate him. This is what I'm saying. Y'all be throwing around these harsh words and don't want it to have no meaning. Y'all will say some shit like that. Be like, I was just caught up in the moment. She said, I think I hate him. He didn't cheat on her. He didn't let her put on that white dress and walk down the aisle and crush her in front of her family. He didn't yell at her. He didn't cuss her out. He broke up with her. And she said, I hate him. A year after, she said she understands they good.
Kind of suggests to me that, Marissa would be willing to do what she needed to do to look better post show. Can you either defend or I'm just curious your take on her behavior post. Yeah. I was a little shocked. I was a little disappointed, to be honest.
Yeah. So So the depictions you see of everyone, obviously on something experience like this, everyone is sort of flattened. It's very reductive. You're turned into like a one-dimensional sort of character. So I see why people would have fallen in love with Marissa. I told her like people are going to love your personality. No, she's not a terrible person, but that you're starting to see just a broader picture of who Marissa is. You're getting more context around who she is. Interestingly enough, we had conversations leading up to the reunion. There was like a few weeks there where we were speaking almost every day, where she was saying like, "Don't worry, I'm going to defend you. I'm going to be, I'm telling her like, don't worry, we'll take care of each other. I don't have any animosity towards you." She's saying she doesn't have any animosity towards me. And then the reunion happened, and it seemed like things just kind of split. And so at the end of the day, I'm not concerned in getting involved in like just like all this social media, just all the craziness and all of that. Like I'm a very low key dude. I'm not concerned with getting involved in all of that. I guess all the drama surrounding all of this. But I think Marissa, I definitely do think she switched up. I do think that she sort of led me to believe that she was kind of like on my side. And now I've been reading all the interviews. I've seen.
How do you talk to a man every day, almost 12 months later? You're talking to this guy. You're saying that you're going to take up for him. You're saying everything's going to be cool. He didn't do anything disrespectful to you or disrespectful to your relationship. And then you go on a reunion show and say, "I think I hate him." Now you can see why this man broke up with her. The reunion show was filmed for 6 hours, according to Out of the Pods podcast. 6 hours. Imagine if you with her every day, like he was. Imagine if you with her every day. The selfishness involved in doing somebody like that, that's nasty. As of right now, I can't name you one thing Ramses did to Marissa that was intentionally malicious. But for her to do that is intentionally malicious. This is why she's getting the look that she's getting. And he's right. Y'all know me. I go on all their social media. You don't see Ramses on social media doing all of this stuff. You don't see Ramses making TikToks. He didn't go to the news station with all the rest of the cast and they did that news things in Washington, D.C. He just felt energy and broke up with a girl. And he's a fucking villain.
I saw her on speaking to you, and it surprised me. But at the end of the day, she's gonna say what it is that she wants to say, and I can't control that. I can only speak, from my perspective and provide, my story from my side. So,
do you have any relationship with Marissa whatsoever right now, or are you guys just kind of like, have you moved on, or where would you describe yourself as friends? Where are we at?
Yeah, at this point, there's no relationship at all. She texted me once, maybe after the reunion, a couple times, but it's gone. It went from just we were pretty friendly to now it's just there's nothing there, and that's fine. I really do want her to be able to move on. This is what's a lot.
That's not fine. That's cold-blooded. Because now I'm wondering, right? How long was Marissa dating this guy she with? The reunion was filmed in October. It ain't been a month. She all hugged up with dude. They dress up for Halloween. He about to grab the ass on the spin wheel. I wondered if she not, since she's shown signs of being selfish, that she's gonna save her own ass. I wonder, like, oh shit, my boyfriend I got now gonna find out that I've been very cool with my ex Ramses and we've been texting 7 days a week. I wonder. I'm going off the personality that I'm being shown. How long has Marissa been dating this dude who look like I'm not gonna say that. I'll say it off camera if y'all want to. But this is some foul stuff, bro. This is some foul shit. And then I feel bad for Ramses now because I know how the world works. Big Love is Blind fans like us, we gonna see all these interviews. When you getting 50 million, 100 million views and shit on Netflix, majority of these people aren't gonna see this. Ramses have to live with being a villain, and we look back on their entire experience all the way down to no communication. From the day they met in the past to no communication, this man did nothing malicious to her. Nothing. 6 months from October, and the new boo was talking early in the year. Yeah, I wanted this Marissa boyfriend know that, you know, she was cool and close with Ramses. I wonder if this is something that she wanted to hide.
For both of us, and I just, you know, wish her the best. But yeah, there's nothing there between us at the moment.
It appeared that she debuted her new relationship on Halloween. Did you know about this guy, or did that take you by surprise?
No, yeah, I was aware that she was dating someone. She's been dating him for the last few months or since earlier in the year, and
The show wrapped in November of last year. 2 months later, she said she was fucking him. So she was fucking Ramses in January. But Nick the liar. Nick the liar. Oh, 6 months. She tried to get back with Ramses after 6 months. December, January, February, March, April, May. May? You fucking Ramses in May. May is officially the middle of the year. He's saying you dated old boy at the beginning of the year. Nobody calls May the beginning of the year. You hit month 5, you in the middle. You are about to go in the summertime. You done passed 2 seasons already.
I was aware of that. So yeah, I'm happy for her. And if it's someone that can, you know, embrace her for who she is, and
hey, if Ramses can dry snitch on Nick, Ramses can dry snitch on Marissa.
He's happy, that's great. But yeah, it didn't catch me off guard.
Your
He
reunion.
seemed happy, actually.
He does. Yeah. He's happy for it. Your reunion outfit. I feel like you were kind of the cut and the eyebrows, the haircut.
He just didn't know better. I think that's just.
I liked it.
No. He was like serving fashion for sure. It was just a little on like the I'm giving like bad boy villain
Reputation.
side.
He looked like.
Was like Ramses could have wore Prince outfit in Purple Rain. I just saw Ramses. That's how Ramses dressed weird or dressed different. I'm not gonna say, well, he dressed different. It would shock me if someone who dresses quote unquote, for lack of a better word, normal came out with that outfit on. But it's Ramses. Who didn't think Ramses was gonna wear some weird shit on the reunion? I didn't have a problem with his outfit because it was him. Now, you'd have put that on Chicken Nugget, or you'd have put that on Tim. What the fuck wrong with these dudes? They got hot before the reunion, but it's Ramses. He never wears anything normal.
You were leaning into your character, so to speak. Yeah.
I've heard that, and honestly, like I didn't really go in with that intention. Like I just kind of pieced together the look. I just like, oh, I like this. We piece it with these pants. I like these, the loafers, whatever. But yeah, once I did put it on, I was like, damn, this is giving like a little like villainy maybe, or like a little, I don't know. And then once I started seeing the remarks online, I was like, okay, I can see why people think that. But no, I didn't go in trying to embrace the villain sort of arc or whatever. It just happened to look that way, I guess.
Okay. Did you feel pressured? And I mean, and I would imagine why you would, if your answer is yes, to hold Nick accountable in that kind of team up against him.
Yeah, like stepping back from
Yeah.
it, how do you feel about it all now?
I honestly, this is an issue between Nick and Hannah, and you know, in the moment, I did feel sort of pressure just because I felt like I was catching jabs left and right, and just like I'm being pressured to like respond to this because I was present in the moment. And so, but honestly, you know, that's something between Nick and Hannah. They're both grown ass adults. They need to figure themselves out and whatever they have issues they have going on. In terms of what was said and wasn't said, you know, that's between them. I don't have any sort of animosity against Nick or anything, but I don't know, at a general principle level, I always have been someone that likes to just hold myself accountable for just whatever shit that I may say or do.
That holding yourself accountable while he's holding himself accountable. This is pretty good. I like this. I like this whole segment, this whole answer right here.
That misses the mark, or if I'm ever out of line, like I have no problem taking responsibility for that. And so that's where that comment came from. At the end of the day, part of it was just kind of the pressure of the moment. But
that's fair.
I'll leave it at that.
I get what you're saying on the accountability part. It's just more felt like this was clearly a conversation that Nick had what he thought was with friends off camera or
Sure.
off mic.
Yeah.
And I get that maybe he technically said something, but like we all know in the context of which it was being delivered, that if Nick were to admit to calling Hannah a grenade or something like that, he potentially could have been eviscerated. And it just really felt like that's what Hannah and Marissa were trying to do, which felt really dirty given like their motives. And it to me, and I think for the audience, it was less about whether Nick actually.
Why didn't he hold himself accountable for sharing guy talk? I thought that's what he literally just did. You know what I'm saying? I felt pressure from the moment. Everybody teaming up on me. We all said that online. Who comes out and admit that? Like, I felt pressure and I said some shit I probably shouldn't have said. No guy talk. Like, we know that's the answer. You said that another rounds. I said that. He just said what we said. How is that not accountability?
He said that, and in the manner of like, what was the intent behind here? Because it's like we all have the right to feel how we feel about our physical attraction to someone. You know, we have a right not to be physically attracted. The whole point of the show.
Hey, he said that, Moon Dust Angel. He just said what you just said. You said he just would have had days, anything to get. He would have said I think days was supposed to be said. He just would have said anything to get people not to focus on him. He literally just said, I'm catching stuff from all around. He said it. How can he say what we feel and that's not being holding himself accountable? He did hold himself accountable as far as telling Marissa in the first place. Now, it depends on when he told Marissa. Because y'all stop pretending. You know, you go back and tell your personal relationship the juicy shit about your friends. So if he did it while they dating, I can understand it. But if they broke up and it was over with, like when they smashing and if it happened later, then I'm like, bro, what the hell is you doing? But come on now, if let me stop for a moment. Because I'm thinking while I'm live, I'm thinking on the spot. If my girl comes to me and now tells me she's friends with this chick, and I'm friends with this guy named Nick, I may be wrong. I hold myself accountable. I admit I would not have said anything to my girl at that point, but my girl, I wouldn't do it. But if I did it, Why is my girl going back to tell another chick what I said in private with her? I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it because of the dynamics. But I ain't gonna sit up here and say I wouldn't tell my girl stuff, because couples do that. But typically, you don't have friends in the same group. I got my guy with his girl. They're not your friends. You got your girl with another guy. I'm not friends with them. So when you come tell me that juicy drama, I'll be like, damn, that shit crazy, fam. But I'm never going back to them because they're not my friends. I think the messed up part about this situation is that they're all in the same group. And that could be dangerous when you run back and tell them.
Is to look past your physical attraction. And Nick decided to do the thing that, what we all thought was the noble thing, is to like just be nice, regardless of how he actually felt, certainly publicly. And if he wanted to have a conversation with friends offline, like we all are entitled to do that. And then for that to be, it seemed like Steven was the snitch, which was not shocking. It's like, well, I'm catching heat. Let's just throw someone under the bus. It just, I don't know. It all came together in a very what felt dirty way. And I get what you were saying. I get where you're coming from in that moment. It's just like, it would have, I didn't agree with your take, but I kind of understand why you did what you did in the moment.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I can see, obviously looking back, how that moment, it was, they were pretty much dogpiling on Nick, and everyone was sort of taking jabs at him in the moment. And so yeah, I can see, when it comes to like whatever bro code, whatever people want to sort of bring up, and so I get that perspective for sure. And I understand why he would be upset with me. But yeah,
the fact that you said whatever bro code, I could never hang with Ramses. Nah. You taking bro code way too lightly, fam. We couldn't kick it, my boy.
It's just so much that we see, there's so much that we experience behind the scenes that the audience will never be privy to. And I think sort of a lot of my reasoning came from that. But yeah, I can see how that can be perceived that way for sure.
Did you have any nerves going into reunion knowing Marissa's mother would be there?
Honestly, no. This thing with Marissa's mother and just like the way she's, I guess, sort of has spoke to me throughout just this entire experience, is something I was already aware of just early on. Marissa sort of gave me a lot of insight on just how her mother communicates and how she expresses herself. And so, yeah, there weren't any nerves around that. In terms of me I think at the end of the day, I'm not going to respond to the insults. I'm not going to respond to the.
Imagine if Ramses' dad told Marissa he wants to punch her in the face. Imagine that. If Ramses' father said that to Marissa. It's another situation where I think women don't take stuff too seriously. Alex calling Tim a little bitch, and then doubling down on the reunion. I called you a little bitch because you're acting like a little bitch. Women be doing the most sometimes, and then get upset while they single. And Marissa's mom is single. If you meet a guy and the first time you meet him, you putting out his outfit, his clothes, and judging him physically or whatever. Imagine what Marissa's mom was doing to fucking men in her life. Like, all right.
Threats of violence, all of that stuff. I think personally that there is a way that you can communicate very directly and pointedly what it is that you want to say without doing that. But at the end of the day, she's going to say what she wants to say, and I'm not going to react to that. But I'll answer, whatever.
Yeah, I generalized about men earlier.
Questions that she had for me.
I own my shit.
At that moment in the reunion,
I absolutely liked you the most when you're around Marissa's mom, because even whether it's like you being here, like I think, like I said, like you're a person who you think and feel how you want. We all make mistakes, but you are at least able to face your criticism head on, and that does to me show something about your character.
There are certain triggers that women have that like you're just completely wrong, and like you can have an argument. And then the dude yell. Nothing else gets resolved in that argument, and it stays, and you fight about it over and over and over again because everything turns to you yell. It only gets simplified. You yell, right? If you want to have that, you can have it. But then, what about men? You called me a little bitch. So why can't a man feel like, yo, fuck all the other shit we were talking about earlier? I don't care about none of that. The only thing I'm focusing on is this. You cannot have your cake and eat it too. You know that there are certain triggers and stuff that women just not going to accept. That they're not going forward. We got to handle this right here and right now. But when men tell women about the things that's important to us, is like, yo, you ain't acting like a bitch. And how many women be on the streams and how many people be on panel and shit and be laughing at that, or they take that shit lightly. So why can't I say that? You damn straight I'm generalizing. Damn straight I am.
The last question I have, I think, is regarding like some of the criticism you received around your comments around Marissa's service. Which, you know, for me, like, I think I think our government has a lot to be criticized for, which I think Marissa pointed out. It just came from a place where it didn't feel like you had the right to judge Marissa in that moment, given, you know, what she did for this country. Do you want to shed any light or context around those comments?
Yeah. So when it comes to politics and stuff like that, and just like the friend groups that I'm around, it's these are conversations we have like all the time, and just, you know, just like very, you know, critical, not just of what happens here in the US, just globally. And in that moment, you know, coming into that conversation, I was honestly just trying to have a better understanding of sort of where Marissa stood when it came to like the military and her service. We had talked a lot about it in the pods. And, you know, I felt in the pods was just as critical of just what she experienced. And so this is her lived experience. And you can hear me say in the conversations, like,
that conversation to me was only bad because it was on television. I think like, if we take our own emotions and feelings out of it, you never heard Marissa in none of her interviews come up and say how she was horrified or how that was a bad conversation when they talked about the military, right? We put some of our things on other people. That is normal in a relationship to have these difficult conversations. And you do got to care about nuances. You do have to care about your delivery. But I'm going to be honest with y'all. When Marissa was saying, like, I didn't sign up for this, and Ramses was like, yeah, you did. Well, no, I didn't think I was going to go. What do you mean you didn't think you thought you was going to go to the military and do a 4-year or 8-year, however long your contract was? I don't know no 2-year contracts in the Navy. It's either 4, 6, or 8. You'll do all those years and you was going to magically never get deployed? You literally signed up for this. That is a normal conversation, especially no one cutting each other off. They're talking respectfully. I think the only thing bad about that was it's on camera, it's on television. So now you inviting millions of people on a topic that is very triggering. It would be no different than you talked about if he said he was a conservative and she said she was a liberal. That's going to be a direct conversation that's going to, if a person has a different ideology than you, when they say why, their reasoning is an attack on what you believe in. There's no way you can get around that, you know? So, but were they yelling? No. Were they arguing? No. Was he being disrespectful? No. It was a conversation on something that can trigger a lot of people in the public, but they had it successfully. And fact, not opinion, not subjective. Fact, Marissa literally signed up for that. She signed up for it. She signed up for it for the military, and she signed up for it for Love is Blind.
Don't want you to feel shame for what your service and, you know, the time that you spent in the military. Obviously, this is something that has shaped your life, has shaped the person that you are. And so,
think about it. I gotta say one more thing, bro. Just think about how this conversation is. Y'all don't want people to speak their mind, even when they are being respectful to you. So it's okay for Marissa to say, I did not sign up for this. I did not sign up for war. Signing up for the fucking military. And he may feel you did sign up for it and he should just be quiet. Or should he lie to himself? You know what? You didn't sign up for it. You just signed up hoping that they was going to give you a free ride, a free education, and you were just going to wear some uniform for a couple of years. And there was absolutely no chance that you may have to pick up a gun and go fight. You didn't sign up for that. That's a fucking lie. That's crazy, man.
the end of the day, we didn't land in the same camps in terms of, our opinions about the military. But in that moment, even when she felt when she said, I feel like I'm being judged, I immediately stopped the conversation. And like, I held her hands and I told her, like, look, I don't want you to feel like I'm shaming you, trying to make you feel guilty for this. I understand that
he's saying his opinion. If you are a conservative and I'm a liberal, and I say my reasonings why I'm not a conservative, it could make you feel judged. How do you have a conversation with totally different viewpoints and not feel judged? Like, it's impossible.
opinions are a lot more pointed than maybe most Americans. I know when it comes to the military, it's something that you just don't critique. It's sort of like the golden calf. You don't speak ill of it. You just sort of.
What I'm saying, Ramsey, right now, talking without being edited, like, I'm not a conservative. I can date a conservative, right? If I date a conservative and I'm not a conservative, we're gonna have a conversation, or you tell me you're a conservative, right? I go on Love is Blind, you tell me you're a conservative in the pod. Okay, I can be cool with it. My best friend is a conservative. I'm cool with people having different viewpoints. So why can't Ramses be cool even though he has a different viewpoint? He found other things that he liked about her. They had a conversation about it. He spoke about it, and he cool. Sometimes we put our own feelings onto other people. Two things can exist. I can totally disagree with something and still choose to date somebody. People do that all the time.
Thank veterans and folks who've been in the military for their service, and you sort of leave it at that. And so I understand why she felt, like she was being judged in that moment. And that wasn't my intent going into it. But at the end of the day, I understand that, what matters is impact versus intent. And so, yeah, it's a complicated conversation. We were speaking there for probably over an hour. And there's a lot of layers to it, a lot of nuance when you talk about
the truth. The truth can help other people. The truth. If you're on Love is Blind and you look at the fucking camera and say, I didn't sign up to go to war when I signed up to be in the fucking military, some other person may be feeling that same way. And I know this to be true. A lot of people like, there's a lot of benefit. If I sign up to here, I ain't got to worry about paying for college. I got this bill. I'm going to get this fucking loan on a house with a VA loan. You're thinking of all this right here. They have this conversation and Ramsey say, you did sign up for this. People watching this show can be reminded, hey, you're not getting all those benefits for no reason. It's something you need to think about. You see how this woman is sitting up here and she's saying that she wasn't thinking about that and she's heartbroken? If you feel like that and you don't want nothing to do with war, you might need to be based in reality that there's a strong possibility, because you are literally signing up for it, that you can be sent off to war. That can help people, because it's delusional to think that you didn't sign up for war when you take an oath to be in the military. Coming from someone who was in the military, coming from someone, and I wasn't like Marissa. I didn't want to go to war, but I was just hoping. Hopefully they don't send me. But if they send me, cool, because I signed up for it. I just wanted the benefits, like Marissa wanted the benefits. But I'm not delusional. I know, if I'm doing this for 6 years, there's a high probability I'm going to be going.
Politics, especially something like the military. So, yeah, I mean, I just want to clarify that we were both very critical, although it may have come across.
I was 18 when I joined the military.
As he was just very pro-military, and I'm just like, fuck the military, which is, that's it. I think they made it look like very sort of like if we were on opposite ends of the spectrum.
Okay. All right.
Well, all of your castmates said the second we met you, we would like you and to give you a second chance. So we do, and we appreciate all the context you've given.
We really appreciate it, Ramses. I think, if you're willing to face.
What is such an issue? Let me read your question. My question would be, is there a safe way to say you don't agree with military without it being such an extreme view? What is extreme when someone is in your face and they're sad and they're about to cry saying, I did not sign up for this. I did not sign up for war. What is extreme to say you did? How is that extreme? You did sign up.
Your critics right or wrong and answer some questions. And especially, it's one of these things that, I don't know why people go on these shows, all different reasons, but I think we also have to accept the benefits and the consequences. And part of it is we will have people talk about us, sometimes it feels unfairly, but I really, really appreciate you coming on and answering all our questions in the manner in which you did. And it's been great getting to know you, the actual Ramses, in person. So I really thank you for the opportunity.
No, I appreciate the opportunity so much, and just giving me an opportunity to speak on these topics that I know had people sort of just kind of jaw on the floor. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Is he coming back on for questions? Well, let's see what they say about
All right, take care, buddy.
Care.
I got, there's the answers that we could have gotten at the reunion, but we didn't.
I mean, yeah.
Which actually I think we should just be, unless they're going to hire us, babe, we actually should be rooting.
No, you're right.
For Nick and Vanessa to keep their jobs.
At least put you in the audience.
No.
We don't need a season 1, season 2.
I don't need someone who's better at their job. So then, and again, unless they're going to hire us.
I would just be
be
the whole time. Like, I actually have a question. I have a question. Can I ask a question the whole time if I were in the audience? So,
yeah. And did we like his answers? Not like his answers?
Yeah. Well, I think for the reunion, I mean, he added perspective to it where he said things like, I would be exhausted and overwhelmed. And
it would be new information if she went back to the military, because he learned that in that conversation. She didn't say that in the pods. In the pods, she said she's about to be a lawyer. So when they're talking in the pods, y'all saying that Ramsey should have said something. Maybe she should have said that's in the pods. In the pods, she said she's going to be a lawyer. So he's expecting her, and he's going off of the words she said. Maybe she should have been more clear in the pods that she would go back to the military.
That's he gave context into that. That's more
the
than
period
just
sex offers a lot of context that
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the part where he recognized that this is clearly something that she was sensitive about in past relationships. It is a sensitive topic.
Yeah.
So I could see a world where he brought this up and then she went to a place of accusing him of doing something that maybe he didn't feel like he was doing, like being insensitive about her being on her period.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously knowing how reality TV works, once the accusation is thrown out there, it's very much.
I don't have anything against the military, but I wouldn't date somebody if they tell me they're going to go back into the military for a different reason. Like, you have no control over where you're going to be moving to, where you're going to live, which base you're going to. So there's a lot of reasons that, like, it could catch someone off guard if they're dating somebody. Like, and I can be like, well, yeah, if you're going to the military, my age, you're going to the military, we probably can't date. I would say the same thing, because I don't want to subject myself to that kind of up and go lifestyle like that.
Much easy to cut around that other stuff.
It's a very specific thing to cut out, though.
Yeah.
Like, the editors chose an angle.
They definitely did. And I think that's their job.
That's their job.
Make creative television.
Yeah, because they have to deliver these types of conversations.
They want everyone to pick sides, so they have to make it.
I mean, yeah, but sometimes it is a little shocking where it's just like the amount of context that was left out of that conversation that instantly painted him as a villain. Come to find out that he volunteered a vasectomy and would look into that. It just would have given more layers to a person versus just you're bad or good.
I am not doubting Ramses and his answers, but I think we also have to recognize that we all give ourselves the benefit of the doubt in terms of how we come across in an argument or a disagreement. And so I don't doubt for a second that after listening to Ramses speak, that he is aware of how a period affects a woman's body and how she might not want to have sex or just contraception and things like that. That being said, I could see a world in which, while he maybe didn't mean it, that he was maybe projecting a type of energy that Marissa received as judgmental or insensitive, and where no one's
and it could be combining too. The military situation made Marissa feel like she's being judged. these guys, she said in the past, made her feel judged. So when he's talking about this, even though he's saying things where he's open-minded, or I can get a vasectomy, and he feels like they're just having a conversation, nobody yelling, nobody talking over each other, they're just saying how they feel. In his brain, he thinks everything going cool, but she feeling judged again. And then you got to add on top of that, Ramses is trying to have this conversation. He is with intent pushing forward to have this conversation at a time where she may not be ready to have the conversation, because he understands we only got 2 weeks. All of this is revolving around communication, being dead ass clear, and making no assumptions that people understand how you feel. Like, I would, in hindsight, because I don't know if I would have done this shit, I'm not perfect, but in hindsight, like looking back, it should be very clear up front. Marissa, you should have told him in the past you think about going back to the military. I think if you'd have done that, he probably wouldn't have chose you. Ramses, I'd have been very clear before I went into this conversation about the physical touch, about the coldness that you feel that you felt from Marissa. I don't want you to feel like I'm pushing. If this had been any other normal circumstances, babe, I have no problem sitting back. Hell, let me go hang out with the guys, shoot some pool or some shit, or braid my goddamn braids. Let me go do something else in life, and I'm gonna come back when you're ready. But I know that you're gonna feel a little bit uncomfortable, but I feel like we don't have the time to wait for you to be off your period to have this conversation. We don't have to physically touch. I can respect your boundaries or whatever, but like, I feel like this is a situation to where there's no way around it. There's gonna be some form of uncomfortability in this. Let me know if there's any way I can make you feel comfortable, but we need to have this conversation. If I wait until your period's over, we getting married in 7 days. And this is something that's important to me. Help me, Marissa, to find a way for us to have this conversation in the best way possible, for you to not feel judged and for you to not feel pressured. How do we do this? Draw that line very clear. Treat it as something. Don't even worry about the conversation. We got to get past this first, because I love you. And I don't want you to ever feel this way. But I feel like we're put in a uncomfortable situation as it is, because we are so pressed for time. So what way can we do this so you won't feel pressure and you won't feel judged? And you let me know, and we can come together and have this conversation. If you just move the conversation to the back burner and you to focus on that could have helped the situation out. But it wasn't going to be perfect.
Necessarily wrong or right, but I just think it's not as black and white in terms of like, oh, well, the editors are evil or things like that. I think they're just kind of, it's like their opinion. We got Ramses's POV, we got Marissa's POV, and then we have the editor's POV type of thing. And I think the truth's always somewhere in the middle. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just think when we're in the heat of the moment.
I disagree with you, Nick. If the producers know that Ramses wasn't drilling her to just fuck without condoms, and I need this shit now, and he said way more things to Ramses, and both Marissa agree that his conversation was nothing like that at all. If the editors cut that up, they did it to create a storyline in which Ramses would not come across favorably. That was purposeful. That was on purpose.
Moment, we are very unaware of how we come across. Like, honestly, when Natalie and I go to couples therapy, part of couples therapy is having a therapist like looking at our body language when one of us is talking and the other person's listening, and our therapist is making sure that like we're receiving it the way they understand that we're giving it, but like knowing that it might be a triggering conversation, we shut down, we disconnect, and things like that. So I can see it on all sides.
I wanted to know what the comment was that Nick D made, but he was like, it's between them to say what it was. And I was like,
I believe that he said that. I believe he said the grenade comment. I believe he admitted to his boys that he wasn't physically attracted to her when asked. I think he
said that.
Seems weird. The youngest person, is my opinion, the youngest person on the show, far younger than the Jersey Shore fucking people, will use the word grenade. I wonder who's around the age of the cast of Jersey Shore. Could it have been Steven? Just seems weird. Seems weird. Ramses didn't press on the actual word grenade. Seems weird. I don't know. Seems weird. But yeah, they did cut that up. They cut that up to make Ramses look bad. If both parties are saying that Ramses was not saying that. He said far more. It was far more balanced. And he was far more giving to try any method to be open-minded for them to have a discussion. Yo, all these guys that be yelling and doing all this crazy shit, right, on these shows that are real villains of the shows. Ramses was never disrespectful. He was never disrespectful.
Explicitly, or he said something that
I mean,
alluded
I
to
think
that?
grenade is a very
It is
It's very specific.
It is a very
word
specific.
to use.
I think they were all
also so
having a
dated.
conversation.
So dated. I was like, what is this, Jersey Shore?
I think they were having.
I know, because me and the situation the same age. He was a little too old to be on that cast. Paulie was 2 years. Paulie 42 right now. So the rest of them in their 30s around Steven age. Cast of Jersey Shore smoke Newports. Who on the show want to be black? Who on the show want to get out of something? Marissa lied in the last interview I saw that she did when she said, or was it on her TikTok? She said, Hannah did a lot of mean stuff, but I'm gonna speak up if I see someone lying that I have direct information from. If Steven told this to Ramses, I'm sorry, and Ramses told it to you, Marissa, you did not have direct information. Direct information is Nick looking at you and saying, your friend is a grenade. That's direct information. If you got a screenshot of a text message where he called her a grenade, that's direct information. You had third-party information. It went from allegedly Nick to Steven, Steven to Ramses, Ramses to you. That's not direct. I watched Jersey Shore. I still didn't know what grenade was. You got to watch the first season. I think they was pressured to say it the second season because it became so popular online. But by the third season, they stopped saying the word grenade. So you had to go to the first 2 seasons of Jersey Shore. Man, Nick was probably 12. When did Jersey Shore come out? $2000. That was 15 years ago. Nick was 13 years old. Nick was in middle school. And you heard it. And just for Caliber, I know you probably don't watch the show. You coming over from my rap channel I got. Just to give you context, Caliber. Steven, the guy that said it, he got caught cheating on the show. Now, you know if a man get caught cheating, when he go on that reunion, they finna bust his ass. So he's scared. He got to deal with the public about to bust his ass, the cast about to bust his ass. The guy Nick got a good edit. Nick looking like the good guy, but the bad guy who cheated and know the whole world about to bust his ass said the good guy called the girl a grenade. Nick, 28 years old. I think if Nick said that, both Steven and Ramses would have pressured him on this specific word. Ramses didn't even make a face roll his eyes or nothing when Nick said, I was underwhelmed by her looks. He would have kept no accountability. You weren't underwhelmed. You said grenade. Ramses didn't say that. And who cares? Who cares if he thought she looked like a grenade? When the actions we saw on the show that he went through with it, and he really did care about the woman. Nobody's talking about that. Nick didn't show any actions that he didn't care about Hannah. And it's to the point to where, nigga, you shouldn't have cared about her, how bad she treated you. You should not have cared about Hannah. It's the exact opposite.
Having a conversation. I think they were like broing it up, and they were asking each other.
I don't care that he said it either, because if he said it and then we saw he cared about Hannah, he followed the rules of Love is Blind. You're not supposed to care about looks. He's underwhelmed by her looks. He still went through and seriously dated her. I thought that's what the show is about.
There's questions. I think they were being more honest than they otherwise would on camera, which we all do with our friends.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
that was weaponized against him. To again, Steven brought it up because Steven's catching heat. All these people who were throwing Nick under the bus were catching their own heat. And they all wanted Nick to catch the heat because everyone felt like Nick, because you can clear, like even Ramses kind of alluded to it. Like, I think everyone's kind of pissed off that Nick was looking like this golden child when clearly Nick has his own flaws, like as they all do. Maybe he's a little douchebaggy. Maybe he's like incompetent as a 28-year-old. But that really isn't our point as fans. Our point as fans is like, I don't know. We see his flaws. You don't need to point it out. But like, he's not an evil, vindictive guy, and he doesn't deserve to be treated the way Hannah's.
And plus, guys, you've seen 7 seasons of Love is Blind. I hope the Minneapolis cast of season 8 learned this lesson. The women got better bro code. I don't know what's going on in the women's group chat. The guys got to do the same thing. You got to stand firm. Nobody, and then like, this is an ongoing problem. Didn't Milton, the guy that looked like a stretch mole, was on the Texas season? I think that was that Houston. Didn't he show screenshots, or was that Uche from the men's group chat? What's up with these men, bro? Like, bro, if I go on Love is Blind, I ain't getting in the group chat. If you ain't got no real balls, I'm not getting in the group chat. You know these women sticking together. I'm not even mad at the women for this, because the women did what they were supposed to do. Y'all men, they broke y'all up. Every man for himself, run. Ramses, they're coming for me. Let's get Nick. Steve, they're coming for me. Let's get Nick. What are you doing? What the fellas doing? Tim did what you were supposed to do. Oh, man, Leo been a super villain. Before Leo even opened his mouth, I'm about to give a goddamn monologue saying how great he is. That's what you're supposed to do, man. Tim had it right. And they picked on Tim online. Leo's a grown man. He can speak for himself. Man, I don't agree. I think Nick does not know how to defend himself at all. Leo tries to defend himself, but he's so awkward. That's why he said pasta and steak. He was trying to say 2 choices, but you got Vanessa that's going to make that a comment 1,000 times worse than I think that it would have came across, because she's so pro-women. And all y'all saying, I'm using my age for a moment. All y'all saying that Nick, the host of the show, Nick Lachey, like, why does he act the way he do? Y'all ain't never seen Nick's first reality show 20 years ago. Y'all ain't never seen Nick's show with Jessica Simpson when he was married to her. He was quiet and awkward. He was boring as fuck. That show blew up because of Jessica Simpson was so fucking stupid. She was so dumb and said the dumbest shit. She got deals from being dumb. She got the Taco Bell deal, the Louis Vuitton deal, but saying stupid shit. If it wasn't for her, Nick was a boring block of wood. He was a bore. Even his interviews for 98 Degrees or whatever, Nick never had a fucking personality. So I guess because of my age, I'm not shocked at how Nick Lachey acts when he hosts the show. He's boring. That's why his jokes come across corny. Even the joke where he put the Visine in his eyes off season 2, because the Asian guy put Visine in his eyes and fake cried. Like Nick jokes, you be like, yo, what the fuck you doing, bro? Like, some in your eye? Oh, okay. This supposed to be about the Asian guy. Okay. They shit don't land. Vanessa is so pro women, she went down hard on Marshall when the entire world hated fucking Jackie. She not gonna ever take up for men, and the guy who's supposed to take up for us is Nick Lachey, is a piece of goddamn 4x4 wood. So the main host got boring, and then the guys on the cast scattered like roaches. It's a perfect setup for the women to come in and just murk these niggas. Just murk them. These dudes was easy pickings.
Treating him, and then the fact that after Hannah apologized and then Nick was like try to defend her, she did all the things that she was accused of doing that she apologized for, and then all these other people are throwing him under the bus because they don't like catching the heat. They think it's unfair. They're just like, well, I might have a kink, but Nick is blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying? That they want to play the fairness cops. The cast.
Y'all check this out. I might cut this up into a short. Hannah tried to portray Nick as being lesser than her. Nick went to college on a scholarship. Nick was a football player. Go to Nick Page and see how good he kicked that ball. That boy didn't lie. That boy is accurate. I'm looking like, fam, if you was hurt, you ain't hurt now. You need to try it again, because the way these motherfuckers missing these goddamn field goals in NFL, Nick was awesome. He just filmed this shit. All right. It didn't work out. He go back to his mom's house and live with his parents in the basement, saves his money, write down his goals. What was his goal? I want to sell 2 houses, because now I'm a real estate agent. So he lived in his mom's basement. He didn't go work at Hardee's and no shit like that. He studied, take you about on average 3 months to get your real estate license. He writes down and manifests his goal. I want to sell 2 houses. We know Nick has sold $25 million worth of homes. Now, unless he sold 2 mansions, both worth $12.5 million a piece, this man sold far more than 2 houses. Far more than 2 houses. What did he do? This is what he said. And you can't say he only did it from the popularity of the show, because he put that out prior. This is what he did in the past year before people knew he was on the show. So he moved his parents' basement, got his real estate license, set his goal for 2 houses, sold $25 million worth. Got his own place now, paying for all his own bills now. Meanwhile, Hannah quit her job to be on a fucking show, wants to blow up off social media after accusing this man of wanting fame. She moves from Washington, D.C. where the show is shot, moves to L.A. and gets a fucking agent, and now she works trying to do TikToks. And this is coming from a woman who was like, do y'all know how much fucking money you make in medical sales? That's a lot of money. And her asshole personality, the way, I know she's a great salesman. I mean, another round told me stop saying like I know stuff. From my over 20 years in sales management, marketing management, that's the kind of personality that when I get somebody on my team, they sell a whole bunch of shit. They sell a lot of shit. She quit to do social media.
Is this like deciding who's got it worse than others, and we're going to even the playing field, and that's the part that feels dirty. It's not, I don't think any of the fans are watching it thinking like, are putting Nick D up on this mantle of like, here's this perfect man. No one's thinking Nick is perfect. No one.
No.
We just don't think Nick deserves to be the scapegoat for all these other people's mistakes.
And that's why people love him now. It says he's like the martyr.
Yeah. Because everyone tried to scapegoat this guy who.
I'm going to take it further with something else more controversial. I don't think Nick lied. I want y'all to pay attention to the word, because ladies, y'all about to laugh. I don't think Nick lied when he said he looked like whatever the Travis guy, the football player. Do I think he looked like him? Fuck no. But what is a lie? A lie is a purposeful misrepresentation. It has the intent has to be purposeful. When Nick sat down with Hannah on the reveal when they first saw each other, he so casually smiled at Hannah and said, well, you knew what I was going to look like. This nigga really think he looked like Buddy. He really think he look. That's not a lie. He's just wrong. Nigga, you don't look like him at all. In his brain, same brain, y'all tried to call the boy dumb. In Nick's brain, he really think he looked like him. If he really believes he looked like him, he didn't lie. He just wrong. Nick brushed his shoulder off. You knew how I was gonna look. I told you the motherfucking truth. He did not lie about football. He literally was a football player. He looks exactly, his body 100% looks like a punter, but she focused on football player instead of his specific position. Punters are little niggas. You ever seen a punter get hit? You ever seen when a line make it? Like, I don't even be wanting to look. Oh my God, they finna hit him. I got to turn my head because they're going to knock him back 30 yards. You know how fucking small a punter is? All punters look like the first dude Batman punch. Goon 1 or Goon 2. They don't even get a name in the credit. All punters look like that. Nick looks 100% like a punter because he was. And then she called him short. And I'm seeing people running with this. I'm seeing people run. He taller than her. And I don't understand for the life of me. Even when she first said it, the first split second, the first thing I did was look down at her motherfucking shoes. This girl got her heel or her shoe looked like the stake you stab a vampire with. Big ass block. Them blocks you got in preschool. I thought, I don't know, wait a minute, y'all tell me, I thought that was some 1990s like shoes. I didn't know. Maybe they came back. I don't know. I'm not a woman. I just, the block like that, I didn't know. I didn't know they came back. But how high her shoe was, I'm like, bruh, she get out them shoes, she dropping 3 inches or whatever, which is what happened when they was in the kitchen. She walked up to Nick, said we the same height. This man way taller than her. Way taller than her. And she still ran with the fact that she taller than him, but called him delusional.
You know, he may have his flaws, but he's not problematic.
Actually true, because that's the thing too, is that it's like the whole thing is we have sympathy for Nick, not because he had an outstanding personality. It's because we sat here and watched him get berated the entire show, that you're just like, okay, at some point nobody deserves to be spoken to like this. At some point,
I think it's also like there was so much time in which
I thought the same thing. Capricorn moon goddess, I thought the same thing. If you're extremely successful in medical sales, which is hard to get into, you can sell every other product, but if you have no history in medical sales, they won't hire you. It's very, very hard to get into medical sales, but it's so lucrative, man. It is so lucrative. And if she know that at any time she can go back into it and kick ass. But even with you knowing that, if you ain't doing it and Nick doing his thing, Nick done sold 25 million in 12 fucking months. And since he wrote Manifestation in September to not the show was in October. From September to September, 25 million. 25 million. And just so we clear, I'm not saying he made $25 million. I'm saying if you add up the cost of all the houses he sold, he reached 25 million. So if you selling houses for $250,000 and shit, that's a lot of fucking houses. Without the success of the show helping him. Imagine. And then Nick did what I did. If y'all been watching me since last season, I said, why is AD not promoting that she a real estate agent? I got a whole video about it. That's the job you want to promote to get more clients. What is Nick doing? What's on Nick Instagram? He promoting his real estate business.
Hannah could have had this conversation with Nick, but she waited until reunion for national television to like deliver this, like, you were liking comments and you called me this and you called me that. And it's like, you wanted all the hate that you have been receiving for being direct and for being whatever and whatever to go to him and for him to start getting hate. Like, that was what she wanted. And that intent is gross.
And say what you want about Nick, as flawed as he may be.
Hannah's mistake was fans of the show do not want to be told what to do by the cast. And to purposely try to push us in a way to not like Nick, fans are going to want to rebel against you, especially if it's coming from someone the fans don't like. If the fans don't like you, why do they want to listen to you to dislike someone that they don't have a problem with? They're going to naturally rebel against you, even if you did it in a more successful way, but you did it in a dumb way. You wanted us to hate a man because he said when he saw you, he was underwhelmed. But when you saw him, you let us know with your face, with your words, that you was not fucking with Nick physically. So at worst, y'all wasn't attracted to each other. Two people wasn't as attracted to each other as they thought that they would be. Both equally not as attracted to each other. So these two people who felt the same thing went about it in two different ways. Nick brushed it to the side. All right, she ain't as hot as I thought, but you know what? We gonna ride. We gonna see where this go. And he treated you with very, very kind. You dogged the shit out of this guy. Totally disrespect. You told him I took you from a boy to a man. How you take somebody from a boy to a man in a week? He went out and got his own clients while he was filming the show. You didn't do that. If you think that he's immature and he hasn't changed, then how did you change him from a boy to a man? If you had nothing but contempt for Nick the entire show, what was the change that you did to Nick?
Every step of the way, he always took the high road. And I think what everyone is criticizing everyone else for is like when they felt like it could benefit them,
Facts.
they did it.
Goddess.
Everyone else took the low road. Everyone else did a dig, and Nick always took the high road. And that says something about Nick and his character, you know?
And it's the fact, that's what I'm saying. Like Hannah's, when you think that you're smarter than everybody and you just leaving yourself, she didn't think she was smarter than Nick. Hannah thought she was smarter than millions of people watching the show. You went at this man when he gave you a compliment. Nick said, you know, Hannah's getting all of this hate online, and that was your go-to moment to destroy him. I know why that was your go-to moment. You knew that everybody loves Nick. So if Nick comes and says something positive about you, then they're going to love Nick even more. So it triggered you. Oh my God, he can't be on my side. They're going to like him. I need to destroy him. Implement plan right now. Let's go, Marissa. Right now. That's why Nick trying to save your ass from hate was the Batman signal to go in on him. You were so afraid of him being liked that you bit your nose to spite your face.
All right, Salt Lake City. Helix sleep, guys.
Yeah, according to Hannah, you're only polite to people that you find attractive, and also according to Hannah, it is okay to treat somebody like this for no reason, since you didn't find out that Nick didn't write that until after the show. So I'm gonna finish up this season of the episodes of Married at First Sight. And I know y'all have. I ain't watched Love is Blind Mexico. My second favorite Love is Blind is Love is Blind Brazil. But I'm waiting for them to come out a new season. That shit be fire. If you ain't watched Brazil, you missing out. I haven't watched Mexico, and I hear a lot of chatter about, I may pronounce this wrong. What's that, Love is Blind Habib or some shit? I don't know. I'm trying to do something to keep the channel going until we get to Love is Blind season 8. So definitely Married at First Sight. And I may go back and do either Mexico or Love is Blind Argentina tomorrow. Habibi. It's Habibi. I don't know. I guess if I want to get my views up, I would do Argentina since people are gonna be watching it. But either way, I'm gonna watch the other one. So that's my recap. My 2 hours. I put in a lot of work today. I done switched clothes 3 times. Went live on my hip hop channel. Cut that off. Watched it. Went live on this channel. So I'm gonna get up out this seat. My ass is hurting. I'm gonna catch y'all next time.